what most people don't realize is that there is a level of freedom before you're free that is as good as the freedom you find. Let's just say that there is like a final realization or a final state that is the free one, right? I'm not saying that there is, but let's just say that there is. Basically, there's a level of freedom that we can get to that is pretty much exactly the same, but somehow different. And the reason it's different is because it's like the beginnings of the freedom. It's a weird paradox because you can't really have a beginning of freedom that isn't free. You know, it's like getting wet before you're wet. But if you're wet before you're wet, you're still wet. You see? It's like the water that touches you before the rest of the water. Well, tell me, is the water that you touch with your toe not the same water that engulfs your entire body? So I'm not saying that this is even a taste of freedom. Yes, you could argue the water that touches your toe is a taste of freedom, but no, this is it's still freedom. And the reason for this is because the freedom before we're free is to not know, is to have absolutely no idea and to not mind that, right? Because before we had no idea. No, actually, that's not true. So this is how the story goes. We're in ignorance and we actually don't know what we are, but we think we know what we are. And the thing we think we are is a separate, limited, temporary, finite self. Then we go onto the spiritual path and we don't know what we are, but we don't accept that. So we try to seek what we are. We will still go back into ignorance. This is a natural cycle. After that point, you've all experienced it. You'll go back into ignorance and you will start to have experiences of resistance or suffering or whatever you would call an unenlightened thing to experience. And in those moments, you really do think you know what you are. You think you're a temporary, limited, finite self. So the best alternative that we can come to that isn't the full-blown freedom, if we want to call it that, is to not know what we are. And to not know what we are is it's like as good as the goal, because we're no longer fighting with being a temporary, limited, finite self because we don't know if we are. So if you didn't know what you were, you wouldn't behave like something that would contradict that, right? If I didn't know if I was a cat or a dog, I wouldn't bark and I wouldn't meow. I would just be whatever I was naturally actually was. So if I was a human, but all my options were, I'm either a cat or a dog, and I didn't but I didn't know which one I was, I could then say, okay, I'll just not know what I am because I don't know, and I will just behave naturally. And then if I start to bark or meow or pee on lampposts, I'll then know what I am, right? So it's like, oh, cat, dog, I'll just be what I am. And if I go in a certain direction, then I'll figure it out. You can do that literally right now. Infinite, finite, I don't know which I am, so I'll just naturally be what I am without assuming to know what I am, and then I will naturally behave in the direction of limitation or freedom. That's it. That's the golden ticket. That's the freedom before we're free. We start then to actually, it's like magic. We will naturally start behaving infinite because it's already what we are. So you don't need to find an infinite thing. It's better that you just have no idea. And this not knowing is the freedom before you're free, which obviously is the same as the freedom. And this is what I mean when I talk about being the adventurer. The adventurer doesn't care about what it finds. It cares about all that it finds. It's not looking for something in the future, thinking, I'm not going to be an adventurer until I find this one thing. It's the adventurer now. It's in the goal. It lives in the goal. Here's the beauty of it. You can still have a goal. You can still make happiness your goal because it should be your goal. Why would you not make it your goal? Why would you make misery your goal or nothing your goal? It doesn't make any sense. Why do any of this at all? The reason people want enlightenment is because they want happiness. It's not because they care about their state of mind. It's not because they want to be like the Buddha. They just want to be happy. They want to be at peace. The wrong thing to do is to search for that peace and happiness in the world. This is a quote from, or at least a paraphrase from Ramana Maharshi. It's okay to want freedom, to desire happiness. It's just not okay to search for that in the world. So we're no longer searching for that in the world anymore, right? We're not looking for every other room and place and nook and cranny in the world that we're not. We're looking for it where we are. And where we are is our direct experience. What we feel, what we think, and that which thinks and feels them. You see? We notice that our perceptions, our desires, they all arise from somewhere. We want to keep going back and back and back to that. So what we find is this freedom before we're free takes us in that direction. This openness of not knowing will it's like you've removed the weights. Imagine there's gravity, and truth is like how unhappiness has a gravity, and you were tying yourself up to a lamppost. You've just let go of the lamppost. You were just holding on. It was pulling you, and you were just holding on to it. You've just let go, and that letting go pulls you towards the truth. From that point of view, it is effortless, but from your point of view, it will still require your assistance. You see, it will still require your cooperation. What do I mean by your cooperation? Let's not get into the logistics of that. Just whatever it is that is hearing and understanding my words right now, that is what you are. That is who I'm referring to. Obviously, we're living in a world where we're provided concessions, and we respect that reality. So let's respect that reality where someone is listening to some degree, even if we share the same being, right? So this is the level of compassion that we want to come to, is to actually be capable of talking to others as if they're others, even though they're not others. And, being perfectly aware of that, but not getting lost in the separation of actually thinking they're others, therefore having conflicts and arguments and resistances, and therefore sufferings with them. So I have a retreat happening at the end of the year. If you want to come and share this time with me and the others who will be there, our friends, it'll be an amazing experience in Marbella in Spain, 1st to the 7th of December. I'd love to see you there. I also have a free community. The link's in the description for that also. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Have an amazing day. Take care.